Okay, Mötley Crüe fans, we've finally landed on what is probably their biggest, best, most well-known hit, Dr. Feelgood from their classic album of the same title, which I don't know why, but I've only really recently been discovering Mötley Crüe. I know they've sort of done their European tour, which means I've missed them for this year, but so cool, so heavy, and the track itself has just got one of the best dirtiest riffs ever in rock, and I love it so much. First thing to mention before we get underway is that we're in tune to D, which is not like a drop D, it's like the whole guitar is in D. So if I can name the strings for you: D, G, C, F, A, D, which I've never ever tuned to D before, but a lot of Mötley Crüe, in fact I would say everything I've heard so far is tuned to D, which means that the neck is a little bit looser, the soloing is a little bit easier, so and also you're going to need a whammy bar for this one if you want to do the cool harmonic bits. So that's why I've got the PRS out, because I bought this guitar specifically for the whammy bar so that we could do tracks like this. Anyway, that's all the preamble. Let's get into the chugging chords of the intro. So it's quite an easy introduction. Mick Mars does actually play this section before he then kicks into the first solo with, and also the harmonic section with those whammy bar tremolo dives. We'll start off with a bit of palm muting on the E power chord with your first finger. It's a little bit like a heavy metal riff, really, in that sense. And this is a cool riff because it anticipates the beat each time. So then when you've got this up pick here, a little bit like Night Train from Guns N' Roses, which is always kind of anticipating the first beat. It's exactly the same thing here. The first thing to mention after you've managed to do that E chugging power chord is that there's a little slide into the 16th fret and back, so and make sure that you really palm mute that because it needs to sound like it's really chugging along there. It's a very heavy sound on the album. There's a few bars of that, in fact, if you just skip forward a little bit, because the chugging section keeps going for essentially 15-16 bars, and it ends with a slide up. So that's how the chugging section ends with the rest of the band. But the Mick Mars intro comes over the top, and this happens, you'll see a little asterisk in there just before bar 6. There's a little star in there, which is where Mick Mars comes in with this pre-bent A power chord, so it goes. I mean, essentially, you don't have to do it so specifically, because in live situations, he just plays the open string. It's supposed to sound a little bit like a motorbike engine, I guess, but it's a lot of fun to play. The closest I can get it to sounding like that like what he plays on the record is an A power chord pre-bend down. And I've given a little bit of guidance on how far to depress the tremolo, which you can see there. It starts at -1 fret, and then you kind of bend it down a quarter, half. We'll dive straight into the harmonic section now as well, because this is where it gets fun straight away. So you've got 2 notes being played with 3rd fingers each time. So you start on the 7th frets, and then I'm going to have to call it the usual names of the strings, otherwise it's going to confuse me. So the D and the G string in standard tuning here. And you're doing your 3rd finger very lightly held. Above that string there with your 3rd finger. And then you play it. And then you depress the tremolo on the beat. So you do 6 of those. And then quite counterintuitively, you drop down to the 5th frets and do that again. Back to the 7th. Then up to the 12th. And then again. One thing that you hear on the album quite a lot of times is it sounds like there's a double pick. Now, I don't see Mick Mars ever play it with a double pick live. He always just goes... John 5, who's the new guitarist for Mötley Crüe, does 2 notes like this. He does it sort of one then the other. You can go also down and up, and then down and up. But I wouldn't recommend doing any of that because it doesn't sound very good. I think it's just straightforward and similar to the live situation where you just hold it and play it like that. And then right at the end, once you've done it around twice, you get this slide up again. So you do your slide in from the 16th fret. And the actual chorus itself goes like this. So we're on the open bottom string, which we've tuned down to a D, by the way, just remember. You're going to do alternate pick here, so that's the general idea. So then there's the 1st, 2nd and 3rd fingers here, so now, there's loads of videos online that get this totally wrong. So it's not this, and it's not an A open string. It's all on the bottom string here with a load of palm muting. So make sure your palm is nice and close in. So it's like that. And then this chord, which is essentially like a D, it's a down, then a down up. Like that. Then the next time, the 7th fret, and you've got a Hendrix chord here, so it needs to have loads of crunch. Now, some of the frets don't sound like they're fully released when you hear the riff around millions of times, so it's a little bit more messy than what I've just described. So try and forget to take your fingers off, which is bad guitar teaching advice, but try and just kind of, on those open strings with the palm mute, try and make them more of a kind of dead note, so. Because on some occasions when the riff comes around, you can almost hear it like this. When you're doing these notes, by the way, you need to put a bit of vibrato, and similarly on the last time you play the Hendrix chord. Quite significant vibrato when you're going for those. Now this riff comes around once you've mastered it a million times and is the absolute key of the song. So don't worry about spending quite some time trying to get the riff right. The other thing I want to mention is that the rhythmically it comes in before the beat on each bar. So if you're going to go 2, 3, 4, it comes in as I've notated there on the tab early. So when you're playing it around, it's got to have that really loose feel. So that's how you tackle the chorus section there. It's really, really cool, and like I say, just try and keep the vibrato going. Also, when you're doing these, this sort of D chord into an A, absolutely do not play this open string. Just sounds really wrong. Make sure you leave off that D string. Well, a C string, but a D string in this case, because I can't cope with calling it the tuned down versions. So that is the chorus part, which is going to come round again later on. So in the verse, you've got a power chord. That's all straightforward. Down, use your second finger, and then back to that open A power chord, which is tuned down a whole tone. And then that's the one that's weird. So you get the A power chord to a G. That's the unusual bit, really, because you would expect it to just be. And even John 5, who's taken over from Mick Mars in Mötley Crüe, actually does play it like that. But I think that the reason Mick Mars does it is because it sounds a bit more menacing with the full power chord. And I think that every single time he's ever done it, except for once that I've seen, he does it like that. There's one time where he does it with the second finger, but I think that you can almost see in his face that he goes, whoops, I shouldn't have done that. So if I were you, I would stick to doing it in his way. Like that. Well, hello everybody. I've just been out for a run listening to Dr. Feelgood. Look at this, the laundry's up. That's what we use this room for when we're not recording guitar videos. I think that there's been a bit of an update on the... I'm just going to leave this video in like this. I think there's been an update on the verse. I was listening to Dr. Feelgood when I was out running, and I think that instead of it going with a double power chord there, I think it actually goes... So a real quick move over. So A, G power chord, and then the first finger plays and then moves over like that, because I can hear that note being played in the album. So I'm going to update the tab. Please play it like that each time I mention the double power chord. It's not like that. It's not this open. Anyway, see you later. That is essentially it. There's a variation of this which is coming up in a second where it's got more chugging power chords chucked into the mix here, so it goes a bit more. On bar 39 to 40 it goes like this. So that's how that goes that time, and then when it comes over, don't forget those final three notes of it. So before it goes into the chorus part 2. So just one more time. That's how it kind of returns into the main section there. That's how we get into chorus 2, which I'm just going to run you through now because nothing is really different at all about what we've done so far, which also bleeds into verse 2. So I'm just going to play through this section for you here, just so we get the whole song down. goes back to a chorus 3. So. And then we get to our pre-solo section, which is like this. So Mick Mars plays this with a thumb, dead note, then 3, 2, 1. Or you can just play the full thumb variant like this. Which is actually my preference, but I'm going to try and Mick Mars it up here. So we're going to go for this variation here. So we're going to do this round a few times. So this thumb version of the G chord here, then A, and then up to this E power chord where he does a 1, 4 and 4. It's quite hard to get that. So you're going to move on the last down pick there. It goes to a B power chord there. First and fourth fingers. And then it comes up to here in solo 1. And then we're back into the next section. So let's go through solo 1 now, seeing as it's so much fun here. This is quite a fun one to play. It always brings a smile to my face. So you've got 15th and 12th frets played together with a bend. This is quite normal. Lots of vibrato on the second one there. And then you get... That's what you're going to go for there. And then you go down for this really epic section here with the third finger. So you're bending up a full tone there from that second fret, but you're going to do a pinch harmonic. So you've gradually released that with the specific rhythm that I've put in. If you want to kind of do it more like Mick Mars, or it's just a bit more like it gradually gets like it's a dying cat. And then he also does a whammy at the end. So it's a real long bend. And then we're back to these chords. And there's a few little solo lines over the top, which I'll just include in solo part 1. So it goes... That's one of them. And then we're back into this rhythm again. And then there's this up here. So that line is just played over the usual chugging chords. And then there's one more, which is this. And we're back to chorus 4 here, so. Back to these chords. And then it's up here. So the 22nd fret with the 19th held at the back. And then you've got this return to the main intro section here, which is very similar to before with that A power chord. So you can have a little play around to try and get your tremolo to match what's on the album. That's the recommendations for the dipping are what I've put on there. And then you essentially have got our harmonics returning as well before you get to the main solo here. So we'll just run through these harmonics again because we've done this before. Nothing's particularly new here. So you do 4 bends on that last time then, and then you get a slide up to here. So the slide up is done with an actual slide, which I've got one of, but you don't want to get it out for this one section. You don't need to bother with that in your if you're playing along with the track live, because it's very pointless for a couple of notes. And then you've got this. So 2 bends from the 15th and the 12th. So solo time, we've run through the beginning bit of that. You slide up to this. Now the next bit is where it's kind of what I would describe as extremely messy picking. So if you were going to play it note for note, you should get... And then... Well, it's actually the slides have a bit more picking going. What Mick Mars does is he uses the bends to kind of get up to speed with the picking. It's very, very messy. And then the next runs just get essentially your best attempt. So... It sounds really messy, but it's kind of cool. It's a bit like I'm going so fast I can't control it kind of thing. So give that a go. Try and get your speed up. So once you've done the last one, you get... So it's 2 slide ups. It's kind of around the 15th fret. And then you've got this same pinch harmonic thing that we had before. So you've got that, followed by with a tremolo depress. And then this next section where it gets a tapping tastic. So you get 10th fret, 1st and 4th fingers, by the way, all the way here. And then you bring your 1st finger on to the 12th fret on the B string. And then you tap to the open. And then you do a 2nd finger on the 9th. So just one more time, because it's pretty complicated. So you're going to tap every 3 notes. The notes that follow are the open, so that's easy. Then you're going to use your 2nd finger to do this tap, which I'll just play on its own. And then... And the last time you play it with the 1st finger, so that you can do this harmonic. Anyway, let's go back to the tapping section. So let's try again. And then and then the main riff comes back. So good luck with the tapping. I hope that's useful to kind of notate it out for you there. It just takes a little bit of practice. And just remember that the last note is a first finger, because then you can dive. And then we're back to the main riff, but this is kind of a bridge here. So once you're doing the dive, the main riff returns below. You're probably going to join in once you've done your dive on the second time. Then there's a slide up here from the 15th, and I wouldn't recommend bothering, to be honest. I'd just keep playing on the riff, but there it is anyway. Then there's this siren sound. Which is quite straightforward, just the 12th and 15th frets with the whammy bar depressing, and then you're going to jump back in here to this section. So it's a hybrid of the two previous licks which we've had. And then obviously the main riff. Those two combined go like this. And then you get this little section. So we're going to jump up here. There's a dead note to start with. So first fingers. And then same again. Third time it's the same. Except with the up-picked dead note. In fact, really, that's only an occasional factor in this outro. You get to hear it the first couple of times and maybe once a bit later on. And the fourth time, so make sure you do a down, down, up. And you've essentially mastered it there. All I'm going to do now is run it through from the beginning with the various different rhythms that there are, various different changes, I should say, sorry, in the notes, but everything else is pretty much the same. So. There's a gradual fade that happens also from bar 138 onwards on the album, just so you know. But the rest of it is quite cool to play. Make sure it's those two strings. And make sure you do the picking option. That up when you do the change up, and that's it. That's Dr. Feelgood from Mötley Crüe. Thank you so much for watching this series. I've actually loved doing it so much. There's loads of other tracks that we could do, including Girls, 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 which has one of the weirdest riffs ever when you actually break it down, and a slice of my pie as well, which I'd like to do. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're Mötley Crüe fans, do subscribe down there so that we can keep doing what we're doing. Check out some of our playthroughs up here and some of our other lessons. If you're a Guns N' Roses fan, you're on the right channel. But anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time round.